Hello, Grand Rising, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. This is Marianne Lee with Earth, Air, and Self-Care. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the red bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I post new content. Woo! Thank you for being here. Feel free to leave any comments down in the comment section of this video. Now, I am Marianne Lee. I created this YouTube channel over 6 years ago in regards and inspired to share the importance of self-love, okay? We have some Q&As today. My daughter's going to be asking some questions. Before we get started, please check out my Patreon page. My Patreon page is a private platform that helps me to receive financial contributions, donations by you viewers, my beautiful soul family, to help support my channel, and so I can afford my continuing education in yoga teacher training. So check that out. There's exclusive content on there, access to different kind of content. Please take a look at it, and the description box is down in this video. Also, if you cannot financially donate, the way you could help me is liking this video, sharing it with your friends, to anybody that you feel called to, and telling them to subscribe, and you subscribe as well. Good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Here we go. A Q&A on self-radical confidence. Thank you for my questions from a beautiful viewer. We are here. Atiana is going to ask the questions, and I am going to answer the questions. So let's start with our first question. Before we get started, Atiana, cheers with tea. To wellness, to health, to abundance. We're here in my new podcast studio where I'll be having other interviews join me, so make sure to stick around and subscribe to the channel. All right. First question.
What myths did you have to dispel as you became more self-aware?
What myths did I have to dispel as I became more self-aware? That I'm always changing, and so are others. Everyone around is always over and ever changing, okay? Nothing is ever fixed, nothing is ever the same. Change is inevitable, and that is actually the way that the whole universe resides in, and the energetic flow of the universe, and there is no end race to anything. We're always evolving, we're always changing, there is no finish line to anything. It's a journey. And then another myth I had to demystify was no need for self-sacrifice. There's no reason that you should put yourself on fire to keep others warm. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself and balancing with as much as you give as you receive. And one last little myth I had to throw out the window was you have to work hard in order to make money. You don't have to. You could actually find easy ways to make good passive income that you enjoy.
What characteristics in other women do you admire?
I really admire when women are leaders. Not where they're like hyper aggressive or hyper independent though, to where it's a perfect balance of having that feng shui with interdependence with others, working as a team, but as well as a leader. Another thing that I really admire about women is hygiene, making sure that their physical presence is always really nice and appropriate according to whatever occasion that they're attending or where they ever are in the world, and also their posture. I really pay attention to like postures. I think it's a part of my yoga teaching as well, but I really love a woman that has radical body awareness and radical self-awareness, and that always really tells me a lot when I'm able to witness that from another sister. Another thing is balance. Her, again, not overworking, not over-sacrificing, not going off of fumes, but she receives just as much as she gives out to the world. And another thing with care is hygiene as well, which kind of goes hand in hand. And I'm talking about from the food that they eat to the habits and hobbies that they choose to participate in, things that are life-sustaining versus short-term gratification and instant gratification. I really appreciate that in other women.
How do you know when you meet a confident woman?
I know I meet a confident woman when she is vocally expressive but not over hyper opinionated. Because when they have that perfect balance of that, it makes me feel that they are out of the box thinkers as well, but they also have a lot of self-awareness in their own experience. And I love women when they share that own experience, but then they leave it open for other people to be curious behind things instead of like really stating always like a matter of fact things. Because the more that I mature and the more that I co-create with others and the more that I self-experience with myself, I really find that a lot of our existence and situations and experience in life are very paradoxical. Meaning, when I say paradoxical, meaning there's like not always like this right fixed answer for everybody. There's this effervescent flow of things that work for individuals on an individual basis, and it's kind of like just finding that custom groove and flow for each individual, but not, and that's what I'm saying, it's like being open to that. What works for someone might not work for the other, but then being open behind it and not being hyper opinionated, because I feel when like people are hyper opinionated, it just leaves, the energy gets closed off in conversation. And it just kind of seems like unnecessarily aggressive when you're trying to have a conversation and you can't really like learn and keep the conversation broadened to have curiosity behind it and to continue to learn behind it and to be open and receptive to all people's experiences. Because just because one thing worked out for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work out for somebody else. So I really love that. And can you ask the question one more time, Tatiana? Because I think I have another response, but I can't really remember the question.
How do you know when you meet a confident woman?
Okay, confident is also, she's really balanced in her independence and codependence. So she has a real good relationship with interdependence to where she's self-reliant, but she also knows how to work with other people as well. I love that. She could like almost shape shift and have a perfect balance of having that kind of energy and existence in her relationships. One more question on that. Can you re-ask that question again?
How do you know when you meet a confident woman?
And I think I already said she's vocal, but not like hyper aggressive. So yes, I really like that. And self-expression is very important, whether that's vocally or she chooses to do embodiment practices of some kind, from dance to yoga to athleticism of any kind. Thank you. Next question.
Do you believe one can fake self-confidence?
Do I believe one can fake self-confidence? I feel like to a degree someone can, because when we align with our intentions about anything that it is, we really do start to channel like almost this mystical, supernatural energy that could support us in anything that we do. So I feel like when we want something, we are open up to the universe and we open up to this unseen energy and this unseen force that could work in our favor. But it just depends how open and receptive that person is. And I think in order to stay open and receptive, one must stay curious in something, whatever it is that they're trying to find confidence in, whether it's their career, whether it's their relationship with their self, whether it's public speaking. I think if you're open to being curious and really loving and enjoying the path of self-discovery, you can fake it until you actually start to embody it and it becomes a real tangible, real thing, and you can feel a different energy within your presence, your persona, and you embody that confidence and it becomes really real. But at first I feel like you have to channel it. Once you start channeling it, then you can sustain it, if that makes sense. Thank you so much. Next question.
I don't know what letter that is.
I.
How do I characterize self-esteem versus confidence?
Yeah, this was a really great question. This was actually the hardest question that I had out of all the questions. I had to actually like Google self-esteem because I had to really like find out where that word is from and where it orientates from. And I have to agree with Weber, the dictionary, that it's more environmental, but even when we are obviously in our adolescent years, we don't really get to choose our environment. We're raised in households and we are faced and witness to things that we don't really have any consent to, but as we get adults, we can start consenting to what we want to put ourselves in, what kind of situations, what kind of environments that we want to be in. So I had to say, like, self-esteem is orientated. How it's different from self-confidence is...
Tell them sorry.
I know. The dogs are being kind of loud. Hey, go upstairs, please. What are you guys doing in the podcast room?
Going out. Did you hear him go up there?
Yeah.
They
Okay, sorry. I didn't want to. They're kind of being distracting. So as you get older, then you actually get to have consent about what kind of environment you want to be in, what you want to consent to. But so if we orientate, self-esteem is something that is developed when it's environmental. And coming back to, like I said, adolescent years, we don't really have a choice of our environment. So that's how self-esteem and confidence is different. It's more, self-esteem is more environmental, and initially when we are younger, we don't really get to choose that, like I said, so we're kind of out of control till we get a certain age, and then we can start to really consent and orientate more control over that. And confidence is something that you could totally control. I feel like confidence, you could, like I said, you could start almost channeling this energy to help you and to help support you, whatever it is that you want to achieve. And by remaining open, you start to really receive it, and then you start to embody it. So, can you ask that question again? Because the dogs were distracting.
How do I characterize self-esteem versus confidence?
So that's how I do it. And then obviously self-esteem, we're environmentally influenced for a while until we reach a certain age, but then you could start channeling your own self-esteem once you reach a certain age, or you become your own sovereign person as a human being. Then you could really choose to how to be in your environment and what you want to interact with and how that is going to affect you, and that will help create self-esteem. And then that gives you an opportunity to self-orientate behind that. I hope this is all making sense. It's kind of confusing. And then confidence, like I said, is actually believing in yourself enough to take risks, even when it's scary, but you start to impress yourself. You start to really like figure out, I could do this. You start to believe in yourself, and it's more of that experience that nurtures other experiences. Does that make sense? And then I would say that really helps your self-esteem. So they really go hand in hand, but I hope I didn't confuse you too much to what the characteristics to where and how and what they mean to me and how they kind of differentiate from each other as well. But they do go hand in hand with a lot. So must and foremost, what activated me off of this question was like, I know some people don't always have control of their environment, but once you reach a certain age, you really could start to have control. And so to take that power back and to make sure that you're putting yourself in safe places and in places that are going to help be supportive and be life regenerative to support you in your self-esteem, thus will channel and help bring in that confidence, if that makes sense. All right. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being such a good distraction today, Atiana. You are amazing.
Distraction?
Yeah, making your funny faces behind the camera.
Oh, I wanted to make you laugh.
All right. Well, that's all with my radical confidence questions. I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like to get to know more of me, check out my Patreon page, check out my other platforms down in the description box of this video. Until next time, we will see you next time. I hope to have an interview here next week, so stay up with me, subscribe, and I will see you later. Namaste.